So I got to ask, who, in your opinion, in the world, as far as you're aware, is doing a good job? Who got more of the steps correct? Who's doing the worst job? What can we learn from this?
Okay. So I think the people who got this right really quickly were the South Asian countries that had dealt with SARS. Like they just had, it's kind of an unfair advantage. You take two teams, one of which has been practicing for the last month and one of which hasn't. And the team that's been getting lots of practice does better. They're more used to wearing masks normally. Yeah. Like if you cough somewhere in, Japan and you're not wearing a mask before COVID, like before this was a thing, people looked at you like you just kicked a baby. That's like crazy. How could you do that? Like if you're not feeling great, then you wear a mask and mostly stay at home. So kind of there are some norms there that made it much easier.
Is there, by the way, I know that maybe you haven't even gotten into this, but pre-corona, the mask wearing culture, that exact kind of hypersensitivity to public health that that seems to exist in Southeast Asia or East Asia, does that correlate to measurable lower levels of sickness among society, just in general, with cold and flu and things like that? Has anyone ever even looked at that?
Yes, there are people who looked at it, and I'm not remembering. Like, yeah, I could spend 20 minutes looking through resources. Yes, there are papers on it. It's not a huge effect, but there's definitely something there. I mean, it definitely helps. How much does it matter changing the rate of flu transmission from, I don't know, say 1.3 people to 1.1 people? It's not a huge effect. One of the things for COVID that we've noticed is there are lots of things that we can do that have small effects. But if you do all of them and you get them right, so mask wearing helps a little bit. It does not do everything. It doesn't fix it completely. Not having large crowds indoors definitely matters a lot, but just banning that doesn't do enough. Actually having lots of testing available really helps, but unless you do like a super amazing job by itself, it's not close to enough. Shutting down when you have lots of transmission definitely like gives you a head start. But even that, unless you're willing to like shut down for a couple of weeks every month, like that alone isn't enough. You do all of these things, you definitely have it under control. Like there's no difficulty controlling corona if you're willing to put all of the measures that you have available in place. And that's why New Zealand got to reopen. Like they're having soccer games. Everybody's showing up in person. There's no problem. So there are a lot of places that just got it right. A large part of just getting it right is doing a good enough job early enough and or long enough to get transmission levels low enough so that you can relax things gradually. Israel was really close to pulling this off.
So what happened?
I mean, there are a couple of things. Look, I believe the phrase is success has one parent, but failure has many.
No, success has many parents. Failure has none. Failure's an orphan.
But the point is, no. But that's exactly not. Everybody takes credit for successes. Sure. Everyone takes credit. But the point is, failures don't happen for just one reason. You have to have lots of things go wrong to fail. I think that's the place where if you get a couple of things wrong at the same time, so if you don't react early enough, once spread gets out of control, as it is in the US, as it is in the UK, to a lesser extent in Israel now, it gets so much harder to stop. So much harder. So right now, we have to do a lot more. You're catching up when you're behind is a lot harder than maintaining your lead.
But sometimes it's politically easier.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's easier to rip off a Band-Aid and say, this is going to hurt for like 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, like we did in the first closure. I'm saying politically from
I was asked at the end of January, whether we should shut down international travel to stop COVID. Like the end of January.
So this is just when we were finding out about this in China.
We knew there was a thing. We knew that it was being transmitted in China. We didn't have any evidence that it was outside of China. And a friend of mine who's like worried about this type of thing was like, are there any plans to shut down international travel? And my answer was no, because it's crazy. Like you can't do that right now. And I think that was right. And in large part, that's because if you imagine politically what would have happened if Trump or Boris Johnson or Netanyahu had said at the end of January, we're shutting down our airports, not letting anybody in or out. We're just going to see where things are. Like, I know this is going to cost a lot of money. How many days would it have been before a vote of no confidence? How many hours would it have been before a vote of no confidence? You know, people talk about like, oh, we could remove Trump from office with the 25th Amendment. Like things like that would have started happening if they had at the end of January said, we need to shut down air travel.
America's still flying around.
Okay. So
internally
then,
at least.
So then the question is, okay, but what would have happened? And the answer is, well, they would have reversed the decision really quickly and been removed from office. And then like 3 months later, everybody said, wow,
that would have been a good idea.
We screwed up. They were right. But does that change the fact that it didn't work at the time and the person who did it ended their political career? No, not at all.